Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're diving straight into a totally fascinating journey for this explainer. We're looking at this profound, almost forgotten intersection where history, biology, and architecture all collide. Our main goal today? To figure out how we might actually solve modern urban decay by tapping into ancient civilizational intelligence. We're going to explore how looking backward might literally be the most advanced way to move forward when designing the cities of our future.
Okay, let's dive into this. We all know Leonardo da Vinci, right? Master painter, legendary inventor. But the physicist Fritjof Capra actually uncovered something pretty wild about him. Da Vinci envisioned town planning based entirely on biological dimensions. He looked at his city not just as a bunch of static stones, but as a living, breathing system. But here's the kicker. Mainstream Europe completely ignored this concept at the time. It was this brilliant, revolutionary idea that just vanished from the drawing board.
So here's our roadmap for this intellectual detective story. First up, cities as living organisms. Then, a Scottish polymath in India. Next, the Lotus City Blueprint. After that, sacred rituals, secular planning. Then we'll look at democratizing ancient spaces. And finally, ancient blueprints, future cities. All right, let's get into it.
Section 1. Cities as living organisms. Let's see how this biological lens of architecture really plays out in the real world.
You see, Da Vinci's core idea was what we'd basically call the metabolism of buildings. He actually viewed structural systems as interconnected biological organisms. Think about it. Just like your body has a respiratory system and a circulatory system working perfectly together, Da Vinci believed a city's streets, its water pathways, and its buildings absolutely had to function as a single breathing entity. But honestly, the wildest part about this? The person who would truly champion and execute this concept wouldn't even arrive on the scene for another 4 centuries.
Section 2. A Scottish polymath in India. And that brings us perfectly to our historical protagonist, the guy who literally built a bridge between Western science and ancient Eastern wisdom.
Enter Professor Patrick Geddes. He was a Scottish polymath, a biologist, a town planner, and honestly, in a lot of ways, the true heir to Da Vinci's urban vision. Now, what makes Geddes so crucial to our explainer today is the time he spent in India. He connected incredibly deeply with leading Indian thinkers, people like Sister Nivedita and Swami Vivekananda. He even met the physicist-turned-physiologist J.C. Bose. And get this, he was so inspired by Bose's theories on plant communication that he integrated them directly into his own worldview on how cities should grow and communicate. Just think about that massive leap for a second, from town planning straight to plant communication. But, Geddes had an incredibly steep hill to climb. If we look at the historical record impartially, the colonial government of the time saw very little worth in the civilizational wisdom of Indic city planning. And frankly, he didn't find much traction with the dominant Indian political leaders of that era either. For instance, the Nehru family opted to build modern bungalows completely outside the old towns. So Geddes was really batting lonely for this ancient organic development model. Though it's worth noting that historical accounts show Mahatma Gandhi was one of the few who showed genuine receptiveness to his vision.
Section 3. The Lotus City Blueprint. So what exactly was this massive vision Geddes was so passionate about? Well, it really came into focus when he took an extensive tour of South Indian temple cities.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it literally translates poetry into urban design. Geddes analyzed the Puri Patal, which is an 8th century classical Tamil text describing the ancient city of Madurai. The poem compares the city to a lotus blooming from Vishnu's navel. The streets are the petals, the central temple is the receptacle, and the people are the pollen. And Geddes realized something amazing here. This wasn't just poetic hyperbole. It was a literal, biological blueprint for a city's metabolism. It outlined exactly how energy, people, and resources should flow organically from the center outward.
And the thing is, Geddes didn't just study this stuff, he actually applied it. He was marveling at Kanchipuram, the ancient Pallava capital, specifically noting how it was built as these small, fractal communities right around a sacred temple center. It had this ingenious drainage system that linked sewage directly as nutrients to local gardens. So when Geddes was later tasked with helping design the modern, secular city of Tel Aviv in Palestine, what do you think he did? He used that exact same ancient ecological blueprint. He just replaced the metaphysical temple centers with secular garden centers. That ancient Indian design worked absolutely flawlessly in the modern Middle East.
Which brings us to a really profound realization Geddes had when he visited Sri Rangam. He was able to decipher the underlying archetypal philosophy that linked the central temple to the surrounding agricultural paddy fields. He summarized this whole concept beautifully, saying, "Life at its simplest runs parallel to life at its highest." It's such a powerful reminder, right? Spiritual elevation and basic sustainable agriculture weren't separate things at all. They were actively designed to support one another in these ancient spaces.
Section 4. Sacred Rituals, Secular Planning. And this holistic view leads us right into a totally surprising reframing. We're looking at religious events as, believe it or not, ingenious urban administration.
Let's look at the traditional Hindu car festival. Back then, the British colonial perspective viewed these massive chariot processions as an unfavorable and basically gruesome nuisance. But Geddes, he saw something completely different. To him, the car festival was a brilliant civic institution. I mean, think about it for a second. Dragging a massive, multi-storied wooden chariot through the streets once a year acts as an automatic, undeniable zoning law. It virtually guaranteed that those streets remained wide, shaded by trees, and totally free of encroachments. And the best part? The city never even had to serve magistrate notices to the public. Talk about divine intervention in city zoning. It was literally brilliant pre-modern age city planning, totally disguised as a spiritual festival.
And Geddes actually took this wisdom and actively applied it in the city of Indore. He brilliantly repurposed the Diwali victory procession of Ram. Alongside the traditional burning of Ravana, Geddes introduced a massive effigy of a rat. Why a rat? Well, it symbolized the dirt and filth that caused the plague. This was basically an early, highly ingenious public health marketing campaign. By tying public health directly to a deeply revered spiritual festival, he launched an epic and incredibly effective public health initiative. And crucially, he used the whole occasion to honor the sanitary workers who were historically marginalized. He was integrating social justice directly into civic administration.
Section 5. Democratizing ancient spaces. Which brings us to the social element of all this planning. How do we take this ancient wisdom and update it to help solve our modern social inequalities?
See, Geddes wasn't interested in just trapping these cities in a museum. He wanted continuous historic development. For example, in Sri Rangam, he envisioned democratizing the sacred spaces by transforming the massive temple towers into vibrant, modern universities. These would become major seats of learning, where ancient languages like Tamil, Sanskrit, and Pali were taught right alongside modern physical and social sciences.
But perhaps most importantly for us today, Geddes insisted that this design absolutely must intentionally provide for the poor, the humble, and the casteless. He argued that harmonious, organic expansion based on these ancient blueprints is actually the only true way to prevent modern urban decay. In his own words, this type of organic planning is the direct historical cure for the modern plague of slumdom. Because, think about it, if a city grows like a plant, it doesn't just leave parts of itself to rot.
Section 6. Ancient Blueprints, Future Cities. So how does this ancient, biological approach to city building actually scale into the sustainable future we so desperately need today? Well, the legacy of Geddes was continued by pioneers of human ecology, like Radhikamal Mukherjee. Mukherjee proved that this Indic town planning wasn't just aesthetically pleasing, it was a perfect, closed-loop, sustainable ecosystem. The sacred geography literally dictated the human ecology. In this traditional system, every single home's sewage was systematically routed to sustain a profitable vegetable orchard. The waste of the city literally fed the citizens of the city. This isn't just ancient history. It's the absolute ultimate model of circular sustainability that modern green architects are striving for right now.
So the crucial point is, just how deeply rooted is this system's view? 4,500. That is how many years back we have to travel to see the absolute pinnacle of this ancient urban intelligence. We literally have to jump all the way back to the Indus Valley civilization.
Just look at the ancient site of Dholavira. According to Dr. Ravindra Singh Bisht, who supervised the excavations there, Dholavira is an absolute archaeological marvel. It showcases an incredible example of town planning with absolute mathematical, arithmetic, and geometric precision. This isn't just a pile of old rocks. It is a 4,500-year-old reservoir of pure genius. It's a true testament to a civilization that understood exactly how to perfectly organize human habitation in total harmony with its environment.
And all of this leaves us with the ultimate question. We've seen how Da Vinci dreamed of biological cities, how Geddes proved they existed in ancient India, and how these blueprints seamlessly integrate public health, sustainability, and social equality. The evidence is right there in the soil of Kanchipuram and Dholavira. So the question for us, and really for the planners of tomorrow, is this. How will we weave these ancient threads into the living, breathing cities of our future? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. I really hope this sparks some new ideas for you. I'll catch you next time.